What's up, guys? Coach Gaglione here. This is another Garage Gym Reviews with Coach Gags. And today I'm going to go over kind of chest, triceps, and shoulder work that I'm doing here at Peak Fitness. One of the pieces that I relied on quite a bit during my bodybuilding prep was just a really basic kind of pec deck that could also do reverse pec deck or reverse flies. I think that when it comes to rear delts are extremely important, especially for equipped benchers. Because essentially, if you've ever kind of worn a bench shirt, even a slingshot, the material is trying to kind of pull your arms together. So the ability to kind of stay wide, the ability to kind of keep the shirt in a good position, stretch the material of the shirt is going to be important. And then even if you're not an equipped lifter, just building up all the musculature around the back of the shoulder, around the upper back, is going to help kind of provide some cushion and protection and allow you for better control and stability. And one of the things I think that's good if you're trying to kind of develop your chest is doing some combination of both flies and pressing. Typically, I like to use the flies to kind of emphasize a good stretch, and also in the pec deck, you could also get a little bit of a good squeeze. One of the downsides of if you're doing a lot of barbell training is you don't really kind of train the function of the pecs, where you're kind of pulling the arms kind of across the body and kind of toward the center of your body if you're kind of just using a lot of fixed barbells. And even something like a dumbbell, you're not really getting resistance that's kind of pulling your arms apart. So I think pec flies can be a good way to kind of keep the pecs healthy, good range of motion. And again, train the pecs in like a slightly different function. But when it comes to going really heavy and then really kind of putting on mass, size, and strength, presses that are going to be a little bit more stable, allow you to load a little bit more. And again, the other thing, it's just going to eliminate some unnecessary kind of involvement from like your bicep and other joints, just be a little bit more stable. So I really love a chest press machine where you can kind of go extra deep. Only downside to this machine is that you kind of have to start from the bottom. So the first rep's always going to be a little bit more challenging. So for that reason, I tend to go a little bit higher reps on machines like this and kind of save my lower rep training for kind of barbell type work. Same thing we go for dumbbells. But a great machine, very stable. And I think, machine pressing is definitely underutilized in terms of strength development. But again, a really good staple in terms of if you want to kind of increase your training volume. And in my view, it's a little bit easier to recover from, but you can get a good stimulus from those types of movements. So this is a tricep extension machine. It also is a preacher curl, which you'll kind of see on the back and bias day. You can kind of see here when it comes to any type of like machine, which kind of has like a rotary kind of component. Think about like your leg curls, leg extensions, those sorts of things. And if you're doing like preacher curls and tricep extensions, your elbow is going to be the pivot point. So you want to make sure you try to line up your elbow with that pivot point. So one thing that really goes, for any machine, but it's also really important in terms of machines like this, don't feel like you need to absolutely use the seat. A lot of times you're going to need to fit your body to the machine, and not every kind of machine is going to fit you perfectly. So just keep that in mind, but it's good, definitely a good option for getting that tricep to really kind of getting the tricep stretch and really get the forearm and kind of bicep kind of smashed together, so you get a lot of good strength kind of coming out of the bottom. So if you have a functional trainer, you can set this up. I really love this low cable setup. It's very stable. Again, whether you're putting your feet on the ground or not, it's very stable because my body weight is just kind of holding myself in place, and don't need a ton of weight for my shoulders. You're getting resistance. That's kind of, again, pulling your arms across the body, which you're not going to get in a dumbbell variation. You also can notice I'm using figure 8 straps here. So it just allows you to kind of take your grip out of the equation, and really just focus on the delts kind of doing the work. So this is one of my favorite variations. Again, I have cranky shoulders, so this is something that's pretty friendly. I'm not really too worried about my shoulder blades being pinned, but if you need to like lean up a little bit, if you want to kind of get your shoulder blades off the bench, that's totally fine. So I'm just kind of supersetting some side delt and rear delt work here. But again, getting some load in more of a stretched position and getting a resistance where the cable is actually kind of pulling my arms together and across the body. So really good exercise there. And just doing like some high cable pulley work for triceps. I think it's a good idea to do some tricep push downs as well as overhead extensions. So you're kind of covering your bases, both kind of working the contraction as well as a little bit of the stretch. I typically don't go super heavy on overhead extensions, but I do think it's a good, exercise to kind of work on some mobility. Again, this can be done with a rope. This can be done with a straight bar. This can be done with an easy bar. I typically will use like an easy bar or something like a spreading, something that could spread just to make it a little bit more joint friendly. But I just elected to just try this Rogue handle on this particular day. And I really like how the cable is running alongside the back, so I can kind of use the post to kind of stabilize myself a little bit. So good to kind of work on different angles here, but in terms of triceps, doing some sort of extension, which will kind of conclude my chest, triceps, and shoulder day. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, stay strong. We'll see you soon.